Hard Facts 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here. And our conversation for this hour is about your roots, your ethnicity, your origins. Where exactly are you from? If somebody asked, where are you from in the country? What would you tell them? Well, if the bill that is before the assembly becomes a law, you might not have one answer to that question. Indigene is defined as an indigenous person who was born in a particular place, an aboriginal, a native. I think that's the best way to describe it. Well, our conversation for 5 is that a proposed bill by Honorable Benjamin Kalu seeks to redefine indigeneship in Nigeria, granting indigenous rights to individuals who have resided in a location for at least 10 years or have been married to an indigene for the same duration. While proponents argue that it promotes national unity and inclusivity, critics warn that it could dilute indigenous rights and incite ethnic tensions. The bill is currently under review in the Senate as part of broader constitutional amendments. Now, the important parts of this that you need to note is that the bill is proposing that non-natives who have lived in a community for 10 years or more or have been married to an indigene for the same period be granted indigene rights. Advocates believe it will foster national integration. Critics argue that it will erode cultural heritage of indigenous communities. I have not lived in River State in Port Harcourt for up to 10 years, but I'm close. I'm very close. But I have a man in the studio who has lived way beyond 10 years. I don't know if it's up to 20, but I'm sure it's beyond 10. And not only is he from River State by association, he has also identified with many local government areas. When I mark my 10 years, if this becomes a law, I would particularly choose a Che for personal reasons. Mr. Olalekan is in the studio. You're welcome, sir.
Good evening. And how are you today?
I'm well, sir.
Okay.
So, where are you from?
Well, I'm a man of many parts. Just take it that I'm in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a man of many parts.
That's
yes.
a good one.
Yes.
What's your take on this bill?
To me, I think there's no reason for that bill.
Really?
Nigeria has not grown to that extent for us to have a bill that will make somebody an indigene of a state. We are yet to grow to that level. We should be more concerned about economic prosperity for Nigerians, make life better for Nigerians. Let Nigerians be free to live, wherever they found comfortable for themselves. You understand? Where they can eke out their means of livelihood. We already have a residency. Even without the issue of trying to make one an indigene of a state, we already seen so many states appointing non-indigenes of those states into positions of trust, into trustworthy positions. For me, the bill should be thrown away completely. We've not gotten to that stage. We are still held back by a lot of things, you understand? And one of the things this kind of bill would prop up immediately will be the issue of domination. Remember, across the length and breadth of Nigeria, there are fears of domination, both internally and externally. Look at what's happening in Plateau State between the natives and the Hausa Fulani people who are actually non-indigenous, but there's been this fight over land ownership and all of that in that part of Nigeria. Look at what's happening in Benue State. Look at what's happening even down south. Look at what's happened in Ondo State, in Oyo State. Look at what's happened in Anambra between Umuleri and Aguleri people, then some parts of Anambra and some parts of Kogi State. So you begin to see that we are yet to get to that level where we feel, having stayed 10 years in a place, one should be an indigene of that. We are not yet there. We are not yet there at all. We are not.
On the flip side, Mr. Ige, we have seen situations. Now, the picture you painted is where the visitors grow in numbers and become hostile. But we've seen situations where a person has lived in a place for a very long time. They have their family there. They have their business there. They have investments. They bought land. You define their life from that location.
True.
And then when push comes to shove, you now hear statements like, you are not one of us, you are not from here.
That's, you are talking strictly on the basis of residency. You can be resident anywhere in Nigeria. There's nothing, even as it is today, nothing stops in Nigeria from contesting election in any state in Nigeria. As of today, if you are resident in a state, you can aspire to contest for an elective position. Whether you win or not are two separate things, but the freedom is already there, for you to contest for election on the platform of any political party. We've seen it in some states. Give you a typical example in Lagos State, where we've had people who are not even Yoruba people win election in Lagos State. That's a given. But can it spread across to the length and breadth of Nigeria? That remains to be seen. But you cannot rule away the fear of domination. You cannot rule away fear of oppression, fear of ethnic colorations and all of that. We can't rule it out in Nigeria as it is today. No matter how much you want to canvass and say, look, Olalekan is an indigene of River State. I cannot aspire to be the monarch of the community where I stay. Never. It won't happen. You know, even very decent countries, they protect some of their cultural values that is not even open. Just like saying somebody from Nigeria can be the next queen or king of England. You know, it won't happen no matter the residency or indigenship, they give to you.
Okay, so we have a break coming up. After that, we talk about the connection between residency and identity. If I've lived in a place for as long as humanly possible, should I not be able to be identified by basically the culture of that location? Stay with us. Welcome back. Hard Facts 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here. A conversation is about an Indigene bill proposed by Benjamin Kalu stating that a person should be given the rights, indigenous rights, if they have resided in a location for at least 10 years. My guest, Mr. Olalekan, says that he does not believe we have evolved to that point yet. Now, my position is, should a person's location, if they've stayed there long enough, not be tied to their identity?
Excuse me, that would be difficult. Just before we went to break, I did talk about, I've stayed in Port Harcourt, let me say Opiakpo specifically, for the last 20 years or thereabout. Even if I'm granted the indigenship of River State, it will make me an Ikwere man, right? So when you talked about if that would give me some reasonable level of assimilation into the culture, it's not going to happen. We should rather deal more, with the issue of residency. I'm resident in River State. I pay my tax here. I've had privileges and opportunities that ordinarily will have been availed the Rivers man, that have been availed my humble self since my stay, in Port Harcourt. So it means that in terms of opportunities, I remember, even in terms of a scholarship that was granted under Amechi, some non-indigens got the scholarship. When it had to do it with employment, I think when Amechi employed teachers then, I think a certain number were reserved for non-indigens. I'm sure when he was governor too, he also gave non-indigens appointments. When Wiki was governor of River State, he also gave appointment to some non-indigens. So on the basis of residency, yes, several opportunities can be availed you. But to say that if I've stayed there for 10 years or more in River State, I cannot become an Ikwere man, we've not reason to that position. And I told you that, look, there are a lot of fears in Nigeria at the moment. Even when it comes to appointment, we are still viewing it from the prism, of where does it come from? Where are the majority of the appointments going to? Recall what has happened to Tinubu, where a lot of people are terribly disappointed that virtually all major positions have been given to only one side of Nigeria, which is the Yoruba people. You can see they are Nigerians, but we've not gotten to that extent where we just see them as Nigerians. We see them more as Yoruba people. And of course, you understand why people are also complaining, because only one side of Nigeria cannot have such illustrious positions and leave just a few things to the rest of Nigeria. We are yet to get to that stage. Chinedu, that bill, I'm sure, will suffer a serious death.
Okay. We will take calls now. But Mr. Ige, if you see two people, how can you tell which of them is a Port Harcourt boy?
No, if you want to say, if you see two people, how can you tell them it's a Port Harcourt boy? A Port Harcourt boy is somebody who stays in Port Harcourt.
That is the thing.
You said Port Harcourt, not thing, on the... No, remember.
The thing on that the makes
basis,
you...
No, on the basis of the name of the city. Okay. Not on the basis on the name of those who own Port Harcourt. There are people who own Port Harcourt.
If I have lived in this HA that I want to become a part of for 20 years...
Yes.
All of the things that you use to identify somebody from HA, I will have. I will know all the parts of HA.
Yes.
I will know how to speak whatever language they speak.
Yes.
I will know their food.
Yes.
If I maybe find love there, I very likely would marry a woman from there.
Absolutely.
So what separates me from an HA person? If I eat their food, I marry their women, I speak their language.
From all of what you have said.
I don't... But maybe I have been... an illustrious son. They even gave me a chieftaincy title.
No problem.
So why can't I be an HA person? Because my name is Chinedu.
No, because there's limitations. Now, your privilege, your prerogative is given, but then it has limitations. Like I said, they can't give you an indigenship of let me say, Chokocho, for example. I think that's the first community just after Migrita, Chokocho. You can't be the paramount of Chokocho.
No, I don't want to be.
No, but there'll be limitations, because there are people who are from the community, who own the community, and they also have every right to say, look, we will not accept anybody to become an indigene of a Che if the person, an indigene of a Chokocho, because the person is not from it. They also have that right. They have the inalienable right to also say, no, we don't want. I'm saying that we have not grown. We have not grown in terms of exposure. We have not grown in terms of liberalism. You understand? To that extent that you'd say, if you have stayed in a place for 10 years, then let the person become an indigene of that place. And I've even told you that even in well-developed society, well-developed countries, there are still certain things that are purely reserved for natives of the place. Look at what happened in the United Kingdom with the Northern Ireland. They wanted to retain their identity. Look at what happened between the Scots and the Welsh. They want to retain their identity. They want to retain who they are. So no matter the influence, no matter the arrival, so to say, of as many people as possible, they still want to retain that same old way, that they are conservative. Even in America, anywhere in the world, you see how people, look at what has happened in Spain, Catalonia, the Basque region. At the time, they were fighting for independence away from Spain. So you understand. So no matter how you want to give people indigeneship, there will always be fears of, and especially in Nigeria, where we quarrel over a lot of things. Land everything is one of the most serious things we quarrel over in Nigeria. And that's why I was giving you the example of Plateau State, giving you the example of even in the Southwest. Look at the North.
All right, let's take some calls. My questions are, if someone has lived in your state for 10 years, should they be called an indigene? And do you think this bill unites Nigeria or erases cultural identity? 08179230002. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, SLC.
Good evening. What's your name?
Yes, I can. Calling from Mugumi.
Go ahead.
SLC, you see, this bill will suffer a lot of setback.
Okay.
Because your guest in the studio has said it all. Nigeria have never reached to this extent of giving another person a right of an indigene, even if it is existing internally. Because I am aware that some councillors are being councillors in another local government, whereas they are not the indigene of that local government. Like when I was at Lagos, I have seen a series of councillors and chairmen to that effect. So what I'm saying in essence is that let our lawmakers know exactly the suffering, the yearnings, and the importance of what the masses are suffering of, and not to the detriment of whatever they are doing out there at Abuja, because I know the secret behind this bill. Mr. SOC, match it today. There is a skeleton in somebody's cupboard in future. Take it from me.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know what to make with that statement. Ida calls from Okoro. Hello, Ida.
I love this program very, very well.
Go ahead.
My brother, you also have every right. If you want to contest an election, you have the right to contest an election. I come from Okoro. I stay at Sumola over 25 years now. I just feel I want to contest for I know. Because they know you cannot contest. I say, why? I can't even matter for a good land. You say you don't have rights. Your counting sentiments now. That's why when they are beating me. You say that you are beating me. And I'm not going to decide. So we got angry. So whatever place you're saying, over things you don't need, he has a right there to do anything. So you go parents there, you buy things there, anything they are doing, you do with them.
Okay.
So this conversation.
Thank you, Ida. And Emeka, you have just 1 minute. Please go ahead.
Yes, let me conclude it.
Okay.
You see, that House of Rep member that proposed those bills, he is just wasting his time under his watch as a deputy speaker. They are declaring state of emergency where it's against the Constitution of Nigeria. I have never said anything. As under his watch, there is killing and Plateau. He has never condemned it. That you are telling us now that he wants to indigenship. We have not grown to that. A context where snakes swallow money. A context where somebody that took a last in the governorship election declared winner. So how can you walk? Because the country is corrupt. It becomes empty.
Okay, Mecca, if we go by your position, that means no lawmaker would propose any other bill away from what is happening. Well, we're down to our final minute. Mr. Ige, your position is that we need to evolve.
We need to evolve. You know, if you stretch the arguments of the callers, they are talking more about residency. I talked about we not developing to that extent. You understand? And Ida from Ukoro, actually said something that is even internal. We are even talking of internally. This is a reverse man to a reverse man.
Yeah.
So they are saying, look, you are from Opobo Ukoro. This is Ikwere land. They have a right to say so. So you can see what can happen internally, not to talk of externally.
You carry your problem from.
So residency, it's okay.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But to say that after 10 years, somebody should be... We still have that fear of domination. You understand? In a country where you have certain ethnic groups who have more population than the other. No. I don't support it.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ige, for your time. It's a true pleasure doing this with you every single time.
Thank you.
We have a program coming up now, and at 6 o'clock, the major news happens. After that, it's open season. Stay with us.